Hello there. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about a poem called The Road by Nancy Fotheringham Cato. It's all about somebody who's driving super fast, maybe dangerously fast, along a particular road towards an unknown place. Now, this is a really popular poem for IGCSE literature, so if you're a student studying this poem, the video here might be particularly useful. Okay, let's dive in. I will read the poem out first and then look to analyze it and take it apart a little bit. The Road. I made the rising moon go back behind the shouldering hill. I raced along the eastern track till time itself stood still. The stars swarmed on behind the trees, but I sped fast at they. I could have made the sun arise and night turn back to day. And like a long black carpet behind the wheels, the night unrolled across the countryside, but all ahead was bright. The fence posts whizzed along wires like days that fly too fast, and telephone poles loomed up like years and slipped into the past. And light and movement, sky and road, and life and time were one, while through the night I rushed and sped. I drove towards the sun. Now let's dive in and have a look at and see what's actually going on here. Initially, the title, it's always worth looking at the title, is quite vague and generic. We don't know where it leads, we don't know where this road is, but we do know that roads take us on a journey, and it's the journey here really that's important. Now the poem starts with the idea that the speaker can somehow control time. The unusual phrase, I made the rising moon go back, sounds like the moon is the enemy and the speaker has some kind of special power over it. The moon goes back behind the shouldering hill, another quite strange phrase. And to shoulder something means to take on a burden. So this makes it look like the land is alive. Look also at the enjambments or run-on lines at the start that also suggest a real sense of movement as our eyes scan from the end of one line straight back to the start of the next. And of course, all this is only really happening because the speaker is driving at speed. It's all about perspective. They're the ones who are moving. And we learn they're heading along the eastern track, and east is where the sun rises. So we get an early clue about a possible destination. Note the heavy alliteration and consonants in the last line, till time itself stood still, which literally makes us slow down. So perhaps Cato is showing here how she can actually control time after all. It's pretty clear from the start that the speaker feels they can control time, maybe even death itself, as they are speeding along. Now, the second stanza continues with some unusual phrasing. We usually associate swarms with bees or something that may attack us, and this use of zoomorphism, giving animal qualities to things that are not animals, makes this really stand out and again shows how the driver is leaving them behind as they speed on. Cato uses anaphora, a repeated phrase at the start of a line, as she says, I could have made the sunrise, similar to the first line. This is another hyperbolic or over-the-top claim about controlling nature, though she only uses the second conditional verb, could, not can, which suggests it didn't actually happen, obviously. Nevertheless, the speaker speeds on so fast, they clearly believe they could control time and nature. In the third stanza, we kick off with the simile, like a long black carpet, to describe the night. Black often has obviously negative connotations, and here it seems like the speaker wants to leave this darkness behind. But is the night left behind, or is it chasing the driver as it's behind the wheels? The idea of the night as a black carpet also suggests it's something you could move up or down, again playing with the idea of manipulating time. By the end of this stanza, we get a feel for where we are heading in the line, but all ahead was bright. This is a juxtaposition, really, that combines the dark carpet with the brightness ahead. And it's this dichotomy or clear contrast between the dark and the light. It clearly shows the two opposing forces in the poem as the driver tries to move and negotiate between the two. Moving on to the fourth stanza, we begin with interesting imagery of fence posts whizzing along wires. Now, clearly it's the car that's moving fast, and as a driver, our perspective would make it look like the posts are whizzing past. Look at the sounds here, especially the alliteration of whizzing along wires and like days that fly too fast. It reminds me a bit of the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars, where they're going into hyperspeed and it bends all the laws of physics. Now, things certainly seem to be speeding up here as well as we read, and this because this line is monosyllabic or made up of single syllable words to make us read faster. The speaker has a tone of regret when she talks about days flying by too fast, and then extends this to years that loom up ominously and then gently slip behind us and are gone forever. Now, this regretful tone shifts slightly, though, in the final stanza. Here, the energy of the previous stanza is still with us, thanks mostly to the huge number of ands that keep things flowing. If you want to be really fancy, it's called polysyndeton. Here, she wraps up all these interconnected ideas of sky and road, life and time, and decides that they really are all one. You can't have one of these without the other. Because of this, she seems to accept and enjoy the journey, her life, rather than the destination. By the end, she continues to rush towards the sun. This final image shows her accepting her journey of life and her desire to make the most of her time here. She can't really control time, but she can decide what she does with it. The sun could be a new dawn or a new hope if you want to keep the Star Wars references in there. Or if you read this more darkly, perhaps it's even heaven, as she is driving pretty dangerously and maybe about to crash and end her own time on Earth. But I think I prefer the positive meaning, the more positive reading here, as it does connect a lot more with the earlier stanzas. Now, in terms of form or structure, and it's always good in poems to talk about the form or the structure, this is a pretty regular poem. That ties in really with the idea of controlling time, of course, which she does by at times making us slow down or speed up as we read. It reflects what's actually happening. We have 4 stanzas here with a regular rhyming scheme of AB, AB, and then AB, CB. Each stanza has 4 lines, a quatrain, again making the form very structured. The rhythm is mostly iambic pentameter, though when the writer wants to speed things up, this does change, most notably in the line "fence posts whizzed," which are all stressed. And so to sum up, this poem really is about a high-speed car journey, where the driver is attempting to outrun or even control the night or the past. As she heads towards the dawn, there's a slight sign of hope, and that she is keen to enjoy the journey or life, that's possibly, wherever it may lead her down this particular road. All right, thank you very much for listening. I hope you liked that. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe.